There's a saying in business, and it comes down to this: the math ain't mathing. And when you do a deal, sometimes what's going to happen is private equity, the investor is going to come back to you and say, hey, your quality of earnings is not what you stated. So what is quality of earnings, and why do buyers use it against you? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan, coming to you live from Tahiti on a perfect day to talk about business growth, opportunities, selling your business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. We also have to talk about some accounting. So I want to give you what quality of earnings is in plain language. It's not your revenue number. It's the defensibility of your profit. So if you go beyond what the profit is and you start digging in and saying, how do we have attribution for where this value comes from? And it can be across the business line, it can be across products that are sold, it can be across the salesperson, it can be across types of revenue. And one of the things that you're going to find is there is a value or a ratio associated with that number that says, how good is it? So if you have a whole bunch of contracts in place that you know are going to be reinstated, that quality of revenue goes into the quality of earnings, and there is a statistical number that says, hey, Excel Eddie, take a look at this, and he pulls up he's like, yeah, that's a good number. When you don't have solid quality of earnings and you can't go across departments, or you can't go across product lines or across salespeople, you start getting dings, and if they're big issues, you're going to get dents, and you don't want a dent. That's going to cause you some issues. Excel Eddie is going to look for things like add backs, one-time expenses, owner perks that you run through the business, all those trips that you've been taking, some of those masterminds that you're a part of, some of the cool things that you've made purchases that you swear are going to go to the business but may not. So one thing that happens is you may be offered a multiple, and this is a little bit different than an LOI smackdown. Some people will use it as an LOI smackdown, so you need to be aware of this. So buyers, they'll get your books, they'll take a look, and then they'll run it through Performa. They will take it and they'll just put it through a machine, and it's going to say, hey, here's green, here's yellow, here's red, here's one ratio, here's another ratio. And then what they're going to do is, based upon where those numbers lie, they may go, hey, we were at a 10, but your quality of earnings is off. We're going to have to give you a 7 or an 8. And we're talking real money, because if you're at $1 million EBITDA and they're saying, hey, we're going to take you from a 10, which is $10 million, to 7, which is $7 million, that's $3 million. That's 15 years of earning if you're making 200 grand. That's real money that you need to be aware of. And so you need to look at what is happening with your EBITDA, and then what ends up happening with your adjusted EBITDA. So when you're talking to your accountant, when you're talking to your bookkeeper, it's not just, hey, what is my EBITDA? Say, I want to know the difference between what the EBITDA is and then what the adjusted is, that somebody could come back and change on my books and then make an offer and then take some of my profitability away, because that's not good. That's not a good place for you to be. And here is my suggestion. When you're taking a look at a quality of earnings, if you're planning on selling 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years out, you want to run this report 3 years in a row. The first time it's going to be like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that this many things were going to be pulled out of the EBITDA. And then the second time around, you'll be like, okay, we kind of got the feel for the direction that we should have gone and what we could have done. And then the third time, that's going to be the dry run for when you go to sell your business, because they're going to take a look at that information and they're going to say, hey, look, we see that you've been on trajectory. We see that you've changed how you run and operate your business. We see that these things are all good for you. So congratulations. I just want to let you know, we're going to stick around that offer of 10. It'll probably be 9.5. This can happen. This is normal. They're not dinging you to ding you and dent you to do an LOI smackdown. What they're saying is, hey, we've got a thesis that we've got to take to our investment group, that we got to take to our bank, and we got to show them and say, here's what we do. We've done our research. We think this is a good deal for these reasons, and here's how much money we're going to ask for. And then that bank, that institution, that personal lender is going to say, let's take a look at the quality of earnings report. Yep, it justifies. Hey, that's amazing. Let's do this deal. Or based upon the math, because the math ain't mathing, we're going to have to make some changes, and we're going to have to take some deductions out of here. You're not going to get what you're expecting. I'm going to share with you, the first time you do a quality of earnings, it is one of those things where you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that these add backs weren't going to all get back into my EBITDA. And if this is the first time that you hear it and you're in the middle of a deal, it could be a hard pill to swallow, because you're thinking, I'm going to get that max multiple. I got an A+ deal. And then the buyer comes back and goes, hey, not so much, not A+, it's a B. So that 10, we're going to drop it down to an 8. You don't want to be in that role. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be aware of your number. And a Titan thesis says this: you're walking in with your number, defensible with footnotes. That's going to make all the difference for you when it comes to having these conversations. because then it comes down to a negotiation of what gets added back and what doesn't. You got one of three things to do from here. Just one of three. Find the subscribe button, click on it. Every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.